Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Be sure to follow Verbally Effective and Ina Esco on Instagram. Also, download the Verbally Effective podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Don't forget to check out the website and submit to be a guest at verballyeffective.com. Greetings, and welcome to another edition of the Verbally Effective podcast, powered by We Are Memphis. I'm your host, your double E, Ina Esco. I want to send a huge shout out to my good friend Fabian Matthews with Spotlight Productions for allowing us to pod in this amazing, beautiful space today. New look, right? I love it. So we're going to jump right into it. I have a phenomenal woman in the building with me. She is a creative. She's an entrepreneur, and artist. She does a lot, and she loves local. She loves Black. We're going to get all into it. I am talking about Talibah Safiya. Welcome to the pod, beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, how you doing today?
I'm feeling good. I'm in my element, so
yes.
I'm ready to talk to you.
Okay, so we're going to jump right in. What part of Memphis are you from?
I'm from Orange Mound, South Memphis.
Okay, the Mound.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about growing up in the Mound.
You know, I came from a neighborhood which was very deeply family. It was a lot of families in the neighborhood. We used to play outside a lot, and I had a really positive upbringing in the Mound. It was some of us who were really focused on school and extracurricular activities, and some of us who were not focused on that. So it was a positive balance. I got a real Memphis scope growing up there. And I was in South Memphis a lot, too, because that's where my grandparents were. And it was the same there. It's just like, honestly, very positive. Kids getting into kid shit. So that was that. But it was beautiful.
But you know what? I'm starting to understand your connection with the Mound now. You grew up right in that very space.
I sure did, yeah.
And a strong connection with the Mound.
Definitely, and I'm really close to there now. My husband and I live in Castelia, so that's like literally not too far from Orange Mound.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about, you know, the high school life. Tell me about them high school days and what was Talibah into?
High school. So I went to Overton first, and then I went to Central. Overton, I was in the theater program. Okay. So I was acting. I was enjoying being on stage. I was enjoying being the center of attention.
Yes.
I really started to discover how to be in a social scene in high school because I was homeschooled a lot of years in elementary school.
Okay.
And so by the time I got to high school, I was like, I think I understand the social aspects of what's going on here. And I really started to, I guess, feel myself then. Then I went to Central.
Feel yourself, I understand.
I definitely did. And then at Central, it was
Wait, why the move to Central?
Why did I go to Central? Academically, Overton wasn't serving me as much.
Okay.
Performing arts was serving me. But I think my mom was, like, thinking about what my college experience was going to be like, which I didn't do that for that long. But
okay. But that's mom kind of influenced that as
She definitely did. Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to leave Overton.
Yeah.
I went to Overton with the friends of mine from Colonial. So we went from choir together to the performing arts school. And I was not looking forward to leaving them.
Yeah.
But luckily when I went to Central, I knew a lot of folks there too. So I was able to adjust fairly quickly and almost kind of develop a different persona. So that was cool.
So I know there was a big transition for you going from the performing arts, serving that, love for it to Central. Did they have a big performing arts? Or?
They did, but I wasn't really into it. But I was acting at Hattie Lou. So I was able to still kind of get my theater rocks off by performing in a semi-professional setting with Hattie
Gotcha.
Lou. Yep. In their early days at their first location.
Yes, Hattie Lou. Shout out to Hattie Lou
We
Theater,
love Hattie
honey.
Lou. Yep.
And you know what? And let me back up for a minute. I heard you say you were homeschooled for a while. How long were you homeschooled?
I went to Hanley in the 5th grade.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So what happened when you graduated from Central High School?
When I graduated from Central, I moved to DC and I went to Howard for a year.
Okay. Okay. Howard, HBCU.
Yeah, it was a necessity for me to go to a HBCU. But when I got there, I realized I really wasn't interested in traditional education anymore. And so I stayed there for a year and a half, and I really just went out to do my own thing after that. It wasn't like an academic challenge. I was doing great in school. I was majoring in theater, but I realized I really wanted to sing. And I think that a lot of times people get into the performing arts space in college and they kind of get in a loop where they're super educated, but they're not really connected to like the daily life of being an artist outside of like the school setting. So I was like, I felt like it was a trap, low key. And that's not true for everyone, but for me, I didn't think it was a space that I could thrive. So I was like, I want to go to the School of Life.
Okay.
And I stayed in DC. I was like working in restaurants and stuff, singing at open mics, trying to learn how to be an excellent songwriter. That was my goal at that time. I was like, what I want to go to school for is how to be an excellent songwriter. And that comes from life experience. So for me, I was like, I want to be in school, but I don't want to be in this kind of school.
Okay.
So thankfully, my parents, they supported me in that
I was about to
decision.
say, what did your mom say?
She knows that if I'm determined to do something, it's gonna happen. So instead of being in opposition, she wanted to be of support. And my dad was the same way. You know, I grew up going to comedy clubs with him, so his energy was artistic as well, and they understood the desire to be on stage. I think a lot of people don't understand what being on stage does for the heart and the mind. And so having parents that understood that was definitely of service to me shifting out of school.
Let's talk about that for a minute, especially your father being a radio legend in Memphis, PA Bow Money. Let's talk about your relationship with your dad and just growing up in that radio space.
Yeah, well, that was definitely like, that was highly influential to my confidence of being on stage. Watching him and knowing him in a like normal life setting as my dad and seeing his performance self, I used to be enamored. Like, this man is hilarious. Everyone loves him. I was like, he's so handsome, and that's my dad. Like, I was so proud of him as a kid, you know. And he really allowed me to have experiences that a lot of people that are minors didn't really get to do by going to like comedy clubs and stuff with him at a young age. And so that was beautiful. And even just growing up with him being on a radio station and listening to like soul classics when, you know, early 2000s music was like a lot of, I don't even know what to call it. It was hip hop, but it was like dance hip hop. It wasn't like lyrically challenging or storytelling a lot of times, the music that was on the radio in my time. So being able to listen to soul classics was like, yo, these voices, this instrumentation, this storytelling, that was definitely like, I like this. I want to make music like this. And
so you weren't connected to that 2000 trend?
Not really, honestly. I mean, when I hear it now as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like memories that I connect to with that music, but I was never really that into it.
Yeah.
Like, I liked R&B at the time. I used to listen to a lot of Destiny's Child, but I also really we listened to a lot of neo soul, so I listened to a lot of like Ibadu, D'Angelo, Angie Stone, you know, stuff like that I grew up listening to. So
now let's talk about when you transitioned from Memphis and went to DC to Howard. Was it a big culture shock for you going from the Mound to DC?
You know,
that's a whole nother world.
It is a whole nother world, but like I wouldn't say culture shock because I feel like shock comes with like an element of fear. So I experienced like a cultural invigoration. I was like, oh shit, like
you just embraced it.
Yes. Well, also like I think it's a black city, so it's very important to me to live in places where I see a lot of black people. Also living in DC where they have like the train where you can hop on the train and go anywhere. I wasn't really driving yet when I left Memphis. And so being able to be there and hop on the train and go to all these really different neighborhoods and like open mics were popping. They had like a lot of type of food that I like international foods, a lot of, healthy foods as well. So I was like, oh, I'm trying to thrive. I'm trying to play. So I loved it.
Well, what brought you back to Memphis?
Well, I went to New York after I left DC.
Okay, New York.
So I lived in Brooklyn for most of my years in New York. And wow, I learned so much living there. I loved living in Brooklyn. I loved the art scene and the vibe. I loved how many Black people were focused on making music, making arts, hustling and defining success for themselves. So that's something that I picked up while living there, and I never thought I would come back home. But my husband used to run this club called the Dizzy Bird, and they used to have open mics, and they would have jazz nights, and he would set up concerts that would feature me or other artists or me and other artists. And seeing the art scene that was bubbling, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then in New York, it was always a lot of people trying to do the same thing. You also don't necessarily know why you're connecting to some people. It's like the relationships, they are electric and they're in the moment, but I didn't have the feeling of community that I had here. I felt like the type of love I was getting in Memphis was long lasting. It was foundational. And so in New York, it was fleeting. If I was popping and I had a show, then yeah, I'm connecting to folks. But if I'm going through something and I'm working a job and I am I don't really know what I'm doing, I wasn't really connecting to anybody. But here, it's I'm getting love no matter how I'm feeling, you know. People are showing up. So I was like, okay, I'm going home. And I came home. My brother and his wife were having some babies. My boo was ready to be together. We was like, all right, let's do this. And that's how it ended up.
So you came home. Is that when you got married?
We got married last year. So, but we got together and got a place within 2 months of me being here.
Okay, look, let's jump right in.
We've known each other since high school. We met at Overton. So it was already a relationship that had been developing for some time. This fly is rude.
Look, this fly, yo. We have a fly in the studio.
I feel like this is a fellow guest.
Kill it, Patrick, get it.
I know. If we had a magazine in here, honestly, I would
wipe the mess out of that thing, honey. Look, Ari, get this. Okay. I think it went away. Okay, Talibah, let's jump into some of the other endeavors that you have. I know that you have the Mama Sundry, all about sustainability. Let's talk about that for a second.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So Mama Sundry came about. I used to have a jewelry company called Pretty Bull, which was a big focus of mine while I was living in New York. I was highly focused on jewelry design at that time. And then when I came home, I was focused on it too, but that work for me was very isolating. It would be like me being in a room by myself working on jewelry for 12 hours, sending out orders and stuff like that. And so I was communicating with my husband. I was basically I'm ready to move on. And we decided that we wanted to do something that was culturally effective in the city that we felt like would be a positive direction for us to be moving in. And that was looking like offering people opportunities to be self-empowered through food, through learning how to be more sustainable with the type of purchases you're making, being conscious consumers, because, we be out here just buying shit sometimes and it's not useful, and also eating things that are not valuable to the body, and us learning and being students to how to be of service to ourselves, our wellness, and our bodies. We want to share that with people, so we built a platform to be able to do that. He built a garden in our yard, so we go into our front yard and we're able to get kale and tomatoes and
love
peppers.
it. When I see y'all on social media getting this fresh food,
it's wonderful.
Nothing is like some good fresh food.
It's nothing like it, and I love cooking personally, so I love that he loves to grow food. So I can go literally go in the yard and pop me a jalapeno, chop it up, make something delicious with that and kale and the herbs that we have and stuff. So it's really beautiful.
I love it. And I know you're all about local, Memphis, supporting local. Tell me, why is that so important to you?
So I guess I feel like certain people and certain companies and certain businesses, they're going to get their money regardless. I think that it's really important to honor the people in Memphis who are empowered enough to create and curate an experience for you or a product for you. And so empowering the local economic structure, I think, is important for our community success. And we're big on community. Like, you know, I got friends that make juices, that make food, that make skincare products, that make clothes. And I would rather spend my money with them than people that I never met, because it's like, everything is energy at the end of the day. So if you know somebody who's putting their own hands and their love in a product, and you can support them versus somebody who's miserable at their job,
that's a lot.
Then that's like real positive to have at your home and at your disposal, you know. So I fuck with that personally. And then like on the food tip, you know, we have a lot of local markets, local farmers who are selling, you know, fresh grown foods and stuff that we can purchase at the farmer's market. And when I go and I buy that stuff and I'm looking at the person who grew it and I take it home and I eat it, it's a different vibe.
It is a different vibe.
So I really appreciate that.
I started a garden last summer.
What you got in your garden?
Zucchini, squash, tomatoes, bell pepper, and you can just taste the difference. Like it's different, and it's good. Good.
You like cooking too?
I love to cook. Yes. You cooking out here? I know you cooking.
Got to, absolutely.
I'm
experimenting. Experimenting, and like also making twists to classics. You know, by using local things and trying to make things more plant-based as well. I mean, not that I'm vegan, but I think we can make things that we love that are classic, that don't really have live elements to them, put some live elements in them, make them jazzy, make them real 2022.
Man,
you know?
so good. Yeah. So good. Wow. Now, I know we're a little pressed for time, but I got to hit on a couple of more things with you, Talibah. I know that you're doing this big residency with the University of Memphis, and this is like the first, right? So tell me about this entire experience you're about to launch with the U of M.
Okay. So for me, music is the most influential art form. I think it is really, it really affects the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about our community, our society. And to be able to make music with a space like the University of Memphis is really, really exciting for me. And so they have a catalog of music that was made between like the 1920s and the 80s of a lot of Black music and under High Water Records.
Yes.
And we did a tour in 2019 where we collaborated with We Are Memphis, Music Export Memphis, and some other local brands, where we were able to do some traveling, and we called it a deep water sound. So to be contacted by the University of Memphis to work with their record label, which is called High Water, and ours that's called Deep Water, it just felt so serendipitous. And basically they hit me because I make all types of Black music. I make blues music, folk music, jazz, trap. And I think that because I speak all those different languages musically, they were basically trying to create a bridge from what they have already in their catalog to things that are more contemporary. And I'm literally the perfect person for that. And they knew that. So they hit me up, and I'm really excited to be able to like remake some of those old pieces, but also like reinterpret them, and to be able to bring subjects that are relevant to what we're thinking about right now and what I'm thinking about right now in the music space. And then also to be able to bring in the other elements of healing and culture that I'm thinking about as it relates to food and community building and, you know, like sister circles, stuff like that. Like, they're open to all aspects of how I show up. And so I'm really excited to be able to work with them in that space.
I think that's wonderful when, you know, you come as yourself and partner with someone that accepts you for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the perfect collab.
Yeah, that's the only type of collab I'm interested in, honestly.
Because I know that you're an independent artist as well, and I was interested to know, you know, what if, you know, let's just say a big label came with a nice amount of money and wants you to come up under their label. What would your thoughts be? It ain't all about the money, though. I know that.
I mean, money is definitely very valuable. However, what's most valuable to me is owning my work, owning my intellectual property, because that's my energy. That's my wealth, honestly, is my mind and my creativity. So for me, being able to own my work is massive, and making sure I'm working with people that understand that I run this. This is my work and my story that we're telling. And so to be able to, you know, work with the University of Memphis, who's asking me, what do you need? How can we support you? and making sure that the relationship is reciprocal and that it's genuine. Because, you know, a lot of times people want to work with artists and they don't understand that this shit ain't coming from nowhere. Like, if you don't speak the language, sometimes you don't understand how valuable it is. So if I'm working with people that understand the value, that understand that I own this mind and this spirit that makes this music, I'm open.
Yeah,
We'll see. You know, I'm an open heart.
And you know what, as a Black woman, I'm sure you've had challenges along the way with getting people to understand you as an artist. So tell me about some of those challenges.
You know, I feel like my Black womanhood is really my most powerful asset. So that's one. But also, you know, sometimes people try to kind of like lowball you as far as like money, but the word no is extremely powerful.
Yes.
And you setting up your own value is extremely important. And that's something that I'm currently learning.
Okay.
To challenge folks when they say this is what we have to offer you, and me to respond with, well, this is what I have to offer you, and this is what I expect in return. So it's a work in progress, something that I'm learning.
Yeah.
But people have had even like slick shit to say or try to make me represent their brand in a certain way that might not feel aligned with who I really am. But I'm so dedicated to myself that, you know, if we're not aligning, we're not aligning. And if we are, we
ain't
are.
Working.
So
okay.
That's it.
Okay, I definitely want to get into this. This is going to be my A-Main, say main. Repeat after me, Talibah. A-Main, say main.
A-Main, say main.
Okay, so, you know, you've already talked about your hubby, your relationship with Bertram. He's on this big show, P-Valley now. How are you dealing with that success that comes with that? Because everybody's talking about this show right now.
That shit turned me on. You know,
it turned you on.
I love his success.
Yes.
His success is my success.
Okay.
So, like, it fuels me. It excites me. And watching him progress makes me want to do well.
Yes.
And I want us to be proud of each other. And I love watching him be successful, you know, because we've had times where we were feeling different, you know.
Okay.
So for us to come up grinding together and see him feeling good about himself and his work and seeing other people be attracted to him because of just who he is and like his natural success, I love it.
Okay, look,
I'm
come
here
on,
for it
100%.
Like, I am here for it. So.
And you know what? You guys are on social media. You own businesses together. You guys are such a beautiful Black couple, and I love to see you all do your thing.
Yes, that's my friend.
Amazing, and that's good to be friends with your mate. Cause everybody
ain't neighbor.
All right, Talibah Safiya, tell us what you got coming up. You know, we know about the residency at University of Memphis. What about some music?
Yes, so I recently released a few things this year. I released a project that I worked on with a sister that's based in Memphis named Zaire Love. We did a visual together for my single Imagine That, which was so much fun, and we told a really I don't even know what to call it, like gangster story behind the song. And then I released another single last month. And so those two have come out, and now I'm kind of in student mode as I'm about to go into this residency. I'm learning new things so that I can show up with some new skills and challenge myself to do something really exciting with the residency. So musically, I'm really honing in on that work and being able to show folks what I'm learning.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we got going on.
We love to see it. We're gonna follow your journey. I know you're gonna be posting on your socials.
Yeah, I'll be posting on socials. But also I'll be popping up in the city. So like this summer I'll have some shows that folks can come see what I'm working on. I think it's kind of like focused on some intimate experiences for these next couple of shows. But if you stay close to me, I'll let you know where you can find me. And I will be out here spreading the good word with the music because that's what I'm here for.
All right. Now, I want you to let the Verbally Effective audience know how they can keep up with your journey. You know, how can they follow you on socials, website, all of that good stuff.
Yes, I will do that. So my name is Talibah Safiya. It means seeker of knowledge, clear-minded and pure. I say. And you can find me on Instagram at talibah.safiya. That's TALIBAH.SAFIYA. And my website is just talibahsafiya.com. Talibah Safiya on all music platforms. Run me up, y'all, like I hit You're going to love it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Talibah, for joining me today on the podcast. You are amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you came today to
really
share your journey. Yes. And I think you're out here inspiring, creatives, artists, women, Black women,
that's my job.
To be their authentic selves. And that's what I love. That's what I love so much. Thank you
for
so
seeing
much.
me. I appreciate it.
I see you, girl.
Yes.
I see you. And you are indeed verbally effective as well. All right, guys. Make sure you all are subscribed to the podcast Verbally Effective on all streaming platforms. Check out the YouTube channel Ina Esco as well. You can also hear us on WYXR every Tuesday at noon. And once again, big shout outs to We Are Memphis, Bring Your Soul, our new sponsor. Thanks for tuning in.